welcome to the season finale of the C.J. Howard Show. Me and Tanner, I lost track of time here, guys. It was 8 o'clock, and we're talking about something important, and we just suddenly hit us. So, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the season finale of the C.J. Howard Show. This is episode number 33. We are live on Facebook, and we are live on YouTube. Also, you can give us a call at 1-346-314-0906. We've got a great guest lineup tonight. Got an awesome co-host with us. Just got back from Owensboro probably about an hour ago. But let's go over our guests first. We're going to have Olivia Farmer with us in just a few minutes. She was a former assistant at the University of the Cumberlands. She's now the 21st Century Director at Stinnett Elementary. We're going to talk to her at 8:10. At 8:30, we're going to hear from John McIntyre, the former broadcast member of WSGS. We're going to talk to him about his days when he done games with Junior Davison and the great Jay Laszlo. We'll talk to him about that and what he's into now. And then we got a special treat for everybody at 9 o'clock. Freddie Bagger is going to be with us at 9 o'clock. Everybody knows Freddie is playing days at the University of the Cumberland High School. Then he played 4 years at UK, and now he is the writer and reporter for KSR with Ryan Lemon and the gang there at KSR. And he's also the when WKYT does something on football, they like to bring him in and let him talk. And then, of course, at 9:30, the farewell to Mr. Willie Hope. We got a little video I made today for him. I'll play it for him, and we're going to get his final moments. We're also going to hear from Camille because I wanted her to be a part of Willie's final show, so I wanted Camille to be a part of it too. Now let's get to my co-host. He just got back from Owensboro probably about an hour ago. He's been a busy man. He was doing softball and baseball this past weekend in the All-A tournament at Owensboro. My good buddy and good friend, Mr. Tanner Hesterberg. Tanner, it's great to have you with us. First of all, you've been a busy man because you've been doing football, baseball. You've been studying for the final exam. You've been a busy man.
Yeah, I got the bar exam coming up here in a couple months, but Morehead State wrapped up its spring football season last week, called that one. The Eagles finished in second in the Pioneer Football League after being picked in the preseason to finish last in the conference. So a good season for them in the abbreviated spring campaign. Literally just got off the road about an hour ago from a road trip to Owensboro for the All-A Classic baseball and softball championships. I was covering that for a radio station in Knott County. The Knott Central boys lost this morning to Walton Verona. The girls softball team went 1-2. They lost a close one this morning to Russellville. If they would have won that, they probably would have advanced out of pool play, but still a good showing by them. And you mentioned it, just a really busy time of the year, but I'm always honored to take a couple hours and spend with you, CJ. Although I got to say, I'm a little surprised I didn't get bumped. I mean, we got Kentucky, the volleyball team, winning a national championship last night. I figure I would have been bumped and you would have tried to have gotten a volleyball player or coach on here or something. So I'm just happy you stuck with me.
I don't think they were going to be back in Lexington until late this evening. So we might try to do that next year. Try to see if we can pull that off. I know. Congratulations to the volleyball team, by the way. That is an awesome accomplishment. You look back at volleyball, you look at Stanford and Nebraska and all the good volleyball teams in the nation, and for Kentucky to be standing, and I mean, that's very impressive. Stinnett, he's a very good coach.
He is. He's one of the best in the country. Kentucky really fortunate to have him. And, he's been there a long time and really built that program. And he's had a lean year every now and then, especially early on, but they were patient with him. They let him build the program. They've been good for a while, but they've really reached that level of great, in the last 2 or 3 years. They've been knocking on the door. And it finally, not only to win the conference championship, but to win a national championship. I mean, it's just incredible. It's almost unfathomable. And to beat a program like Texas, is just an extra jewel in the crown. And, it just shows that you can build a successful volleyball program about anywhere. I mean, I know Kentucky is no slouch in terms of facilities, and it's a nice campus, but if you're competing against some of the best schools in the country for these recruits, and congratulations to Coach Skinner and his program.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. They beat Texas 4-1 last night. Was a really good game. It was a back and forth match. Texas made a little run there in the third set, but Kentucky was able to go ahead and put it away and really put the hammer down. We talk national championships like basketball and stuff like that, but never volleyball. And I think people were a little surprised by volleyball. Volleyball is a really good sport. If you've never watched a match, you need to watch more volleyball because there's some good high school volleyball teams out there. Next year on the show, I'm going to try to have some volleyball coaches on the show. Soccer coaches, but there's other sports out there that are really good that you need to keep your eye on.
Yeah, I remember when I was in undergrad at Moorhead, my freshman or sophomore year, I went to a volleyball match for the first time, and I had heard about it. Of course, Moorhead's had a great program for years. They actually just won the OVC and then won a game in the NCAA tournament, won a match, I guess I should say. But I went, and I tell you what, it is a very exciting sport to watch. It's fast-paced. It's frenetic. I mean, the girls, the young women who compete are extremely athletic, and it takes a high skill level to play, even at the level like the OVC and Moorhead, and especially in the SEC, and the quality of athlete and the skill level of these volleyball players that are at Kentucky. I mean, it's just through the roof. It's a very exciting sport to watch, and there have been, like you said, CJ, some volleyball programs here in the mountains. A handful of them lately have really developed into nice programs, and it's good to see. It's a tough sport to play. I couldn't get out there and do it. That's a low bar to clear, but I'm just saying it's my hat's off to anyone who can play it at the highest level.
Okay, hold on. I think we got a phone call. Go ahead, caller.
Well, it's good to be back on the season finale, but all things must come to an end.
Oh, thank you, Ryan. I appreciate that. I didn't know if we was going to hear from you tonight. We got, we just got Tanner back from Owensboro, and we got Olivia waiting down here. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and bring Olivia in the stream so she can hear us, and we'll get to her just 1 second. But what's on your mind, Ryan?
Well, it's going to be a busy week for Lester County baseball. They need to make some. You think they need to make some headways this week, or do you think just keep chugging along?
That's a tough week. You got Knock County tomorrow, Hazard Tuesday, and South Morrow Friday, and so all home games though. But it's going to be a rough week, Ryan. They're going to have to get it in gear. Lost a tough game the other night at Jackson County, 15-12. But hit the ball a bit better, but still got some improvement to do.
I know. I'm glad we scored some runs, but it's been a headache for us. But I feel like we're kind of coming around that. We got to maintain the consistency on offense and continue to play defense and have solid pitching every night. Because I tell you, this region's pretty much wide open.
Oh, I agree with you 100%. I know Taylor got to see Knock County play, and I don't know if he's got to see anybody else play in the region, but this region is wide open. I mean, there's not a solid favorite in it. There's 6-17, Breathitt, Knott, Hazard, Purry, Letcher, even Estill. Estill might be the best team of all of them. So we've got a lot of good teams wide open. Somebody, whoever wants it, can go get it.
Well, if you can find out where the boys' region's at in baseball, I'd appreciate it.
Well, I'm going to try to find that out this week.
Okay, but I'll try to see you tomorrow night.
Yep. I will see you tomorrow night, Ryan. You have a good one. All right. Love you. See you, Ryan. Bye. Ryan Farmer, a very faithful caller, always calls. We get him in here. Got one of our very special guests with us tonight, Miss Olivia Farmer. Taylor, I don't know if you know Miss Olivia, but she is she was formerly assistant coach at the University of the Cumberlands. She graduated from the University of Cumberland. She is now the 21st Century Director at Stinnett Elementary. Now, we're going to go over that in just a little bit. But I'm tickled death to have Olivia on the show because early in the year, we had Katie and Hillary on the show. And to get Olivia on the show is a plus. So, Olivia, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm glad to be on it.
Yeah.
It's good to see you virtually, Olivia. And listen, I was told it was Stinnett University, not Stinnett Elementary.
You're right. I think I'm going to have to get a shirt made that says Stinnett U. The funny thing is, growing up, that was like our rival elementary school. I went to Hayden Elementary, which doesn't exist anymore, but Stinnett was our biggest rival. So I'm glad to be at Stinnett. I'm really enjoying it, but it's just funny how things work out.
If you get one of those shirts, send me one too. I'll represent Stinnett U any day of the week.
Awesome. Thank you.
Well, now we can't forget the Raiders of Hayden Elementary. They were a great school when they were still there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they had to be shut down. But now they're the Mountain View Bears. So it's just exciting.
Come on, CJ. Not technically.
Technically, yeah. Okay, that's true. That's true. Olivia, I know. You've been a busy woman the last 6-7 years. You've been dealing with helping out with the University of the Cumberlands. And a lot of people doesn't realize what the life of an assistant coach is. They think it's just show up, hold the clipboard, give some instructions, and go. But tell everybody how hard it really is to be an assistant coach in college basketball.
Oh, man. The hours that you put in as an assistant coach it's crazy. Starting out as a graduate assistant in 2016, I was excited and eager to be there and learn, but I didn't really, know what the whole job title of an assistant coach entailed until, I got really deep into it. But it's an amazing job. You go early in the morning, depending on when workouts start or, individual workouts, you're doing those all day. You're in the office making phone calls, recruiting, doing scouts in season for the game every day. There's just so many different things, paperwork, getting travel itineraries ready, booking buses for your trips, making sure referees and all that are taken care of, talking to the signer, seeing who our referees are for the day, getting all that set up. It's just so many different things, like you said, that a lot of people don't realize goes into it. But I think that's what makes it so rewarding of the job too, is, those kids, they see how much time you put into them and how you have to really buy into them and the program. And it's a lot of work, and the hours are crazy, especially traveling, getting back late at night and having to go back to the gym and get stuff unloaded. Half the time you're doing laundry. There's just so many different things that people don't even realize. But it's such a rewarding job too at the same time.
You enjoyed your time at the University of the Cumberlands. You met a lot of you met a lot of nice people. You met some really great players.
Yeah.
Talk about some of your players, because there were some really great players there at the University of Cumberland.
Yeah. Like I said, recruiting's one of is still, it's my favorite part of the job. Traveling, getting to meet those players, build those relationships with not only the players themselves, but their parents and their high school coach, AAU coaches, that kind of thing. Since I've been there, we've brought in All-Americans, National JUCO Players of the Year, Defensive Players of the Year, first team All-Americans in junior college. It's crazy, let's see, I guess it was 2 years ago, I got to fly to Kansas for about a week and watch 2 junior college kids, and ended up bringing them to Kentucky, and they helped us become a very successful program. Sylvia Veloso herself, I know, CJ, you got to watch their education day. You came to a couple games. Sylvia Veloso, she ended up being the Mid-South Conference Defensive Player of the Year and first team All-Conference this year. So she was really a big asset to us. But even, the thing was exciting for me the most was recruiting these mountain girls. It's so special to me. And, Kaylee Mathis at Clay County. You have Chelsea Napier going next year from Prairie Central. Whitney Caldwell, she's attending next year from Pineville. Casey Coleman from Rockcastle. The list goes on. I think it's important, especially for us at University of the Cumberlands, it was to recruit within about a 3-hour radius. These Kentucky kids, but also that Tennessee area from, Knoxville, a little bit further down to us. There's so much talent. But yeah, I mean, recruiting is awesome. It's so much fun, but there's been a lot of players that helped us, Hannah Lawson, Reagan Hubbard, Kayla Bruner, those North Laurel kids that have been there when I were there. Those kids, just special kids, those mountain girls. I mean, I know I'm one myself, but I'm not, necessarily talking about myself, but they're just special kids, hardworking kids, don't care to get the job done, do whatever you ask them to do, would run through a brick wall for you. So that's just, we had even Williamsburg and Whitley County kids on the team, and Abby Estes and Lily Hall. It's awesome when you can find those jewels in the mountains and just bring them in and see them be successful. It's just really important.
Yeah. I know recruiting is the most important thing of the process, because we talked with Coach Cornett at Alice Lloyd and Coach Stradlin at Moorhead. We talked both about how their recruiting process is brutal. I mean, brutal. I mean, they're fighting for the same players, and sometimes you end up with them, sometimes you don't.
Absolutely. It's hard, especially the Mid-South Conference, in my opinion, is the best conference in the nation in the NAI by far. The competition is unreal. It's crazy. It's a dogfight every game. You never know. You know what I'm saying? Being at University of the Cumberlands, whoever you played, no matter if they were the lowest ranked team in the conference, it was a dogfight. They were going to give you their best game. And you're fighting against all those teams. There's so many in Kentucky, especially, with Campbellsville, Georgetown, Pikeville, all those, you're fighting hard with all those schools, Lindsey Wilson. But, there's so many different assets to each school. It's important, especially. And like I tell these kids, first things first, pick a school that, has a program that you want to do. You're a student before you're an athlete. You're a student athlete. So pick a school that has a program you want to be successful in. That's the first thing that you need to look for as a player. But, it's just so hard. It's like a fight for your life, basically, trying to get these kids. It's fun, though. I mean, just getting to know their parents, home visits, getting to know how they do things with their family. And that's what I love. I'm a very outgoing person. I love people. I love to, get to know people. And that was just a big thing for me, just building those relationships. I loved it.
You decided you wanted to not coach no more, so you're going to move on to Stinnett Elementary. You got a really great break. They had an open position for a 21st century director. Talk about what a 21st century director does, because a lot of people does not understand that this person has a lot of big responsibility as far as helping students that need help. Like maybe they may not have a meal to eat that day, or maybe some clothing, stuff like that. So talk about your new job title and tell me how excited you are.
Yeah, so I'm thankful for Mr. Collins, Mr. Wilson, all the staff at Leslie County that, welcomed me in. Leslie County's my home. I may not have expected to be back as soon as I was, but it's a blessing. It's all in God's plan, and I just want his will in my life. But so the 21st century coordinator, it's actually you're over after school and summer school. So you really have to get to know the kids in the school and their grades, if they need what really they need as far as staying after school, coming up with activities for them to do after their academics are done, just getting to know those kids. There's a lot of paperwork, you have to turn in attendance plans and summer plans, and it's a grant. So, we reapply for that grant every year, writing that grant and making sure all that process is as good as it can be. Turning things into your supervisor. I didn't know that it was going to be as much as it was, but it's a lot. But just those kids, helping those kids look up to me so much already as that coordinator, and it just melts my heart. They already have such a special place in my heart. Like you said, we give them a meal after school, and they get so excited. Some of them come ask me, Miss Olivia, can I have another snack? Yes, you can have as many as you want. I would never turn a kid away from food, never. But, also I got to get out with Tony Morgan and all those awesome people up there, just get to know where those kids live. And, I just want to be anything and everything that I can be to them. And, even if I have to go out of my role as the 21st century coordinator to help them, I will do whatever I have to do. And as far as coaching, my lifelong dream is to be a head coach, whether that be, at Stinnett Elementary, Leslie County High School, any high school in Kentucky. You know what I'm saying? My boundaries are not limited. But like I said, this is just a stepping stone, of something else of experience in the school system for me, and I'm blessed to get to do it.
Tanner, do you have anything you want to ask Miss Olivia?
I don't think so. I was sitting here listening to you guys, and I remembered somewhere, I don't have it with me, I wish I did, but somewhere I do have a Stinnett Elementary koozie, like a drink holder somewhere. That somebody gave to me at some point. I just thought it was the funniest thing, a Stinnett Elementary koozie. I'm sure that people, only hold the finest beverages with their Stinnett Elementary koozie, but I still have mine somewhere. And the next time CJ is kind enough to ask me to host, especially if Olivia's back on, I will have a drink here waiting to drink out of my Stinnett Elementary koozie.
Yes, and maybe you have a shirt on, yeah. Well,
Olivia's going to maybe have to update your koozie and your shirt. Maybe she can.
That needs updated.
Help you out there, yeah. Well, Miss Olivia, this has been an honor. I mean, you're one of my favorite people. I've been around you a long time. I remember when you played in 2007 to 2010. We had some teams that were fun. We had some fun moments. We had some fun, exciting moments.
Yeah.
And you're one of my favorite people. And I would love to have you come back again. And hopefully we can talk about you maybe coaching somewhere or something.
Absolutely. I saw a comment on here from Mark Collett. Shout out to him. Yeah. That man, I wouldn't be where I am today if it's not for him. I mean, I was lucky enough to get him 1 year, my last year, but if it wasn't for him pushing me the way that he did, the doors of opportunities that I have now just wouldn't be here if they weren't for people like him. And you, CJ, you're awesome at what you do. I love, seeing everything that you're doing. You are absolutely phenomenal at your job. And I'm thankful, that you have been a part of my life since I was, a small little girl, and we are who we are. And I'm very thankful for the people that I've been blessed to be around.
Well, Olivia, it's been an honor to have you on the show. Continue doing great work at Stinnett. Good luck on hopefully finding you a coach's job. And God bless you. And I just hope the best for you because you're a really good person. Thank you, CJ. Okay. Nice to see you, Tanner.
See you, Olivia.
All right. Olivia Farmer, 21st Church Director at Stinnett Elementary, former Youth First Cumberlands head assistant coach. She giving us the ins and outs there. Now we're going to bring in John McIntyre. We're going to bring in John just a little bit early because we're supposed to be on 8:30, but this man's prompt. He's never late, always on time. This is what I like about Mr. McIntyre. He's a good man. John, it's good to have you on the show.
Appreciate it, CJ. Thanks for having me.
Always. I've known you for a long time. I've listened to you for a long time. I know people in the mountains, they know your voice. They know the days of when you called games with the great Jay Laszlo and Junior Davison and all those guys that you called with. You've been with us at the state tournament many times. After you moved on to Lexington, where you now work another job. But talk about your days at WSGS because you're phenomenal then. You're still phenomenal now.
Well, thank you, CJ. My time at WSGS was a lot of fun, actually. I look back on it fondly. You talked about me being prompt. I guess that was a product of working in radio for so many years because we always had a deadline to do stuff, get the news on, stuff like that. So I've always been early with stuff. But as far as working at WSGS, one of the highlights of my life, working with Jay Laszlo, you mentioned him. I was fortunate enough to work with him for many years, doing just ball games around the 54th district and the 14th region and stuff like that, and also the state tournament. Junior Davidson, you mentioned him. We had a lot of fun doing games throughout the mountains. We went everywhere to do games, and it was a lot of fun. And I look back on those days with a lot of fond memories.
Yeah, you're an icon in XGS history because everybody talks about Jay Laszlo doing it, but the set was when it was you and Jay, a junior, and then because that's when basketball was really good.
Oh yeah, they were some phenomenal state tournaments, especially back in the '80s. The old Clay County Tiger teams, the Houston Ballard teams, Scott County. There was a couple other Louisville teams that were just outstanding back in those days, and it was a lot of fun. But we really, I was fortunate enough to get in on the early part of when Clay County was so good for so many years there in the 80s with Richie Farmer and them. Some phenomenal games, especially against Louisville Ballard. It was just some exciting times. And of course, Hazard had a good team back, I think it was 86, where they went to the semifinals, and it was just a lot of fun. And Jay Laszlo, I got to work with Ernest Sparkman as well. But Jay Laszlo and Junior Davidson made it a lot of fun. And I got to learn a lot from Jay Laszlo. And I just kind of carried that on and kind of tried to make it my own a little bit. But I loved calling basketball games, loved calling football games as well.
How much sports did you get to do with Ernest Sparkman?
I didn't get to do a whole lot with Ernest. I don't recall really calling any games with him, but he was there a lot, especially at the state tournament and stuff like that. But it was mainly Jay Laszlo. Now, Jay and Junior got to do some games with Ernest, but I don't really think I got to do many games with Ernest, but I did work for the man, so I got to see him a lot during my time at WSGS.
Did you ever get to do any games with the Big Dipper?
I did do some games with the Big Dipper, yes. I can't remember too many of them, though, CJ. That was a long time ago. My memory's starting to fade a little bit, but I did do some basketball games with him. I think I may have even done a few football games with him as well.
I don't know, you still are really good. Would you like to get back in this someday again? If the right opportunity come by?
Well, I've been asked a few times living up here to do some games up here. Shane would call me on occasion or get in touch with me, ask me to do some games. But it's one of those things now. You guys have carried it on, and you're doing the games during the regular season, and it makes no sense for me to want to do state tournament games. Now you guys put in all the work. You should reap the rewards. And I consider going to the state tournament as an award for doing the games during the regular season. So I know how it is. And I love going to the state tournament and doing the state tournament games. But, I think it's left up to you guys now to carry that on.
Yeah. Oh, I miss you. I really like, I wouldn't.
As far as doing the games now, I do miss doing the games, but that's up to you all guys now.
Has anybody in Lexington or maybe contact you about doing some games? Because I know that would be a great opportunity to get back involved, because I really would like to hear you again.
No, nobody's really contacted me to do ball games, and I really haven't seeked it out as either. I did work for a time at WVLK back in the 90s when I first moved up here, but I was still doing games for WSGS, so it really didn't make any sense to do them for them.
Yeah.
And plus they had their own guys doing them anyway. So no, I never really talked to anybody about doing games up here.
You work at Lexmark. Tell everybody what that is.
Lexmark is a printer manufacturer. We make, at one time we used to make inkjet printers, but now we just make laser printers. And I work in it's not really so much research and development anymore, but I guess it still kind of is. But we do a lot of work. I do a lot of work testing printer components now for our printers. Make sure they stand up.
Yeah. You got to have a good printer. Is very important to have if you're in business. And I know I've got one right now, and I like to throw it outside because it's not a Lexmark, but it's slow. I can't never get it to work half the time. I have to go take it off that line, put it back on line. Yeah, too much aggravation. Taylor, you got anything you want to ask John? He's I love listening. I like to hear him talk.
Yeah, John, it's good to talk to you. I don't know that we've ever spoken in person, but I've certainly heard of you. All three of us, I think, have called games on WSGS at some point. I did when I lived in Hazard and got to host Sports 101 for a couple years. So I got to know the Sparkmans really well and everybody at WSGS. And it just amazed me the first time I walked into that station. how seriously they take the history of that station. I mean, right, you see the pictures of Ernest Sparkman and Jay Laszlo, and they still have all those old recordings of them calling games from 50 and 60 years ago, and you hear all the little recordings like Greasy Creek Bill that Ernest used to do, and I just love little things like that. And I know it's a powerful 100,000 watt signal, but I just wonder, I mean, do you know of another station that has such a connection to the history and the community it serves, like WSGS?
No, not right offhand. I'm sure a lot of those Eastern Kentucky stations, although they're not as powerful as WSGS is, because they can really get out. But I'm sure a lot of those stations back in Eastern Kentucky have their own history that they try to keep up with. But I know that Shane is one of those history guys. I mean, he does a real good job of keeping up with the station's history, and I hope he's passing that along to somebody in his family. I mean, because it's important that this station has been around for years and years and years. And as you said, there is a lot of history to that. But I bet you don't see any pictures of me hanging up in the station, do you?
I'm sure there were one or two, but I wouldn't have known what to look for.
I'll tell Shane to get on that. If I come in there, I want to see a picture of me hanging on the wall. No.
Well, he texted me last week. We text probably about once a month or so, just to stay in touch. And I guess one other thing I'll ask you, and CJ and I have had this conversation before, but can you think back to maybe one or two moments, or even maybe not even a specific moment or play, but one or two games in general that you would hold out as the most memorable you've called?
There are a few. You gotta, I guess, because it was probably the first tournament I did was when Hazard played in '86, I think it was. They went to the semifinals. Mm-hmm. That game against Pleasure Ridge Park was probably a game that stood out a lot. But for pure excitement, I mean, I don't think there was any other game besides Clay County and Ballard when Richie Farmer went off for about 50 points and got beat. Ballard ended up beating them that game. But they played in the championship 2 straight years. Clay County won it the first year, and then Ballard come back the second year and won it. Those 2 games right there, plus the Hazard game, I think stand out the most as far as the games that I saw live in person there. But, I mean, through the years, there's been all kinds of games, double overtimes over Scott County's, what was the guy's name, hit a shot from the hash mark. Rick Scott, I think his name was, or something like that. Hit a shot right in front of us. I mean, we were sitting at the hash mark. He hit it from right in front of us. It won the game, semifinal game for Scott County, and that was one of the most phenomenal shots that I've seen. So there's a lot of great games through the years, but I think those 3 probably stand out the most.
Yeah, I think, I mean, and I remember all those moments. I mean, even if I wasn't necessarily like the 86 shot, that was a few years before my time, or the 86 game, I should say. But I mean, you still read about that. That was the one with the controversial calls at the end. And a lot of people in Hazard, man, that's still a very touchy subject. You got to be careful who you bring that up around, because that was the whole cheated, not defeated.
Yeah. And all the games that I've done, I've been to Rupp Arena many, many, many times to watch games and stuff, even UK games. And probably the loudest I've ever heard that stadium was in that game. To me, I think that was just the loudest I've ever heard a crowd at Rupp Arena was during that Hazard game.
Yeah, the crowds always seem to rally around the Eastern Kentucky teams. Maybe not so much anymore since attendance has declined a little bit, but I can imagine back then, a lot of these people, that's probably their only chance to ever get to go to Rupp Arena. And so they're gonna make the most of it when they're there.
Yeah, and even the non-Hazard people, I mean, it was a Louisville school they were playing. Of course, everybody roots pretty much against the Louisville schools, except Louisville people. But so pretty much the whole arena, other than PRP fans, were cheered for Hazard. And when the calls didn't go Hazard's way, they let everybody know it. And it was so loud with the booing and people throwing stuff on the floor, which wasn't necessary. But it was very loud, probably the loudest I've heard Rupp Arena.
Which venue did you enjoy doing games more, Louisville or at Rupp?
Oh, no. No contest there. Rupp Arena was a lot better than Louisville. I mean, it's not to say Louisville was bad. I don't think the attendance was what it should be. The atmosphere, to me, Rupp Arena just had a better atmosphere. Lexington had a better atmosphere because Louisville you're away from downtown. Here in Lexington, you're right downtown. All the fans are congregating in downtown. And to me, Rupp Arena just had a better atmosphere than Louisville did. Now, I could say if they went to the Yum Center, maybe the Yum Center might be a little different. I don't know. This was back at the old Freedom Hall.
Yeah. Well, I know with all the sponsorship keeping everything in Lexington, they both got the girls and the boys tournament now. It's going to be hard for Louisville to get a hold of that again. They're going to have to really sweeten the pot if they want it back. So.
Yeah, to me, it just doesn't make any sense to have it in Louisville. I understand maybe, spreading the joy or spreading the love around, but to me, Lexington is just a lot more centralized, and it just makes a lot more sense, I think, for Lexington to host it than Louisville does.
Yeah. One other thing, I'm going to let you go. I know,
sure.
How have you been surviving during COVID? I know a lot going on. We want to keep everybody safe. I do worry about all my friends. So how have you been? How have you been able to survive?
CJ, when this first started last year, my wife and I both were sick in February of last year. This was actually before they started testing for COVID. Don't know if that's what we had or not, but we both had the flu. We got over it in about 4 or 5 days. And from then on out, we've been doing our part, wearing our masks. I was off work maybe for the first month, but ever since probably last May, at least since May, I've been coming into work every day. So we're just, we try not to let it worry us too much. I mean, we've been out of town, went to Florida a couple of times, and, we're still, we're hanging in there.
Everybody, we do want everybody to get your COVID shot. If you can get one, get one. I know I've got mine. I've had both of mine. I'm hoping both of you have had yours.
My wife has got hers. I haven't got mine yet. You
haven't got yours yet. Well, I know you'll get it because we got to keep you alive because you're a good man, John.
Well, thank you, CJ.
I enjoy your time. I've done several games with you, and I just like talking with you. You're a good man, and I hope you are doing well. Would you come back again? I'd like to have you come back again.
Sure.
And we'll talk some more history of your games. Maybe you could think about some games that really stick out, maybe in the 14th region or something like that. So some teams you've seen. So, but I'd like to have you come back if you would.
Sure, CJ, that'd be fine. Hope you guys are doing pretty good. Hope you guys are doing good back home.
We will. We want to say, but you be safe, and we'll talk with you later.
All right. Tell everybody I said hi.
I will.
See you, Tanner.
See you, John.
Yes, sir.
John McIntyre, former WSGS sports reporter, also lives in Lexington now, works at Lexmark. Him, Jay Laszlo, Ernest McIntyre, and Junior Davison was what WSGS sports was all about.
Yeah, I mean, I always like talking to guys like that because it's a link to the past. And he made a good point. This history, this tradition, it's got to get passed down, or it dies. And at WSGS, they've always, the Sparkmans have done a good job of preserving that history. And I'll tell you what, I was doing a game for WYMT back in February. I think it was Harlan at Hazard, boys basketball. And I was there calling for WYMT, and WSGS was there. And this shows you how radio has evolved over the years. They were web streaming it as well on Facebook and the website. And they had 4 or 5 cameras going and an instant replay and all of this. I mean, I'm like, you guys got more cameras in this gym than we do, and we're a television station.
I would like to see, I don't know, I don't think they would, but I would like to see them put on their wall at SGS everybody that's done games from the beginning to now. Because that would give you a history of people that's done games, Ernest Sparkman, Jay Laszlo, Junior McIntyre, Junior Davison, Don Smith, Danny Hall, you, me, Harold Bashir, the ones that are doing it now, even the ones before them, Ollie Hall and those guys. It would be good to see the history of the people who's done games, because some people may have forgot about these people.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know what Shane's renovation plans are there in the radio station, but you should suggest that idea to him. But no, I'm thankful for the time I got to work with them, and like I said, Shane and I still text pretty frequently, and who knows, maybe I'll get to do some more work for them again in the future. I hope, CJ, you and I get to call a game together again at some point. I mean, this show is fun, but don't take this the wrong way. It's not as fun as calling a ball game with you.
Yeah, I miss it. I miss it, but they've got their people now, and John Noel and Dwayne Adams and Harold Bashir and Sean and Nathan Little and them do a great job. And it's hard to sneak in there right now. So, they did a good job at the state tournament. Of course, tonight was the elite awards. I don't know if you knew about this, but the 14th region was having their award ceremony tonight, sponsored by Elite. That's the Harold Bashir's brand. They finished up about an hour ago. I did see where Scott Napier won an award. I don't know what he won. I know Christian Collins won an award. Wille and Camille both were there. So they may be dressed up. I don't know. But they were dressed up when I saw them there earlier. So they'll probably still be in their same clothing. So when we see them, so they may dress up for the occasion. I don't know. But it was a good
they
thing.
Can be dressed up to host the Oscars tonight.
Yes, the Oscars is going on right now. This award ceremony things have got turned upside down. This was supposed to have been back, in January, and moved it all the way to April.
Yeah, I mean, just another victim of COVID, but thank goodness we got to have it. And I'll tell you what, on that note, CJ, I think that's a good segue to talk about the crowds we had at the All-A baseball and softball tournaments this weekend. This was the biggest crowd I've been a part of in well over a year, since all of this pandemic mess started. And of course, it was outside, so you're not inside, so everybody was safe, and they were, if not requiring masks, then at least encouraging masks this weekend for everybody in attendance. But it was a lot of fun to be a part of that this weekend, and this was the most normal I think I've felt at a sporting event since COVID started. So kudos to the All-A folks for pulling off a good tournament, and I guess giving us a good preview of how they'll be able to do state baseball successfully. Of course, they did state basketball already successfully, but even that was, we still had some pretty heavy protocols in place. But another month, we get to the state championships in baseball and softball. It's outside. So I think you may see some attendance records, unless they have to limit attendance, which maybe they do depending on the venue. But I think you may see a lot of people come out to watch these high school baseball and softball games here in the postseason, just because if for no other reason, they're so starved to see live sports.
Well, let me tell you what I saw last night. Me and the wife went on date night. We went out. We watched one movie, Nobody. That was a really good action movie. If you have not seen it, I recommend it. It's a great movie. But we were going to go in the night, go watch Mortal Kombat. And I didn't realize that this movie had such a big following. And Corbin's movie theater hasn't had more than 20 cars in a parking lot in a month. There wasn't a parking spot within any end of the Corbin Cineplex. In fact, they sold out the Mortal Kombat movie in 15 minutes. So, and I mean, people had masks on and stuff like that, but I was mad because I didn't get to watch the movie, because I can go back and watch it next weekend. But it tickled me to see that many people back out enjoying themselves.
Yeah, that is great to see. And I have to pause for a moment because the last time you had me co-host, I was giving you a hard time for taking your wife on a hot date to Dairy Queen. And you remember that? We were laughing about that. And now you're saying that the big event of the weekend was taking her to see Mortal Kombat. I'm sure she loved that. Is she a big Mortal Kombat fan?
No, but she saw the preview. They showed it before nobody, and she said, "Well, is that the movie we were watching at 7?" I said, "Yeah, well, that's what we're going to watch." Oh, I can't wait! Then we got there, it was like all the air had been let out of us. Because I mean, I hadn't seen that many people there since the beginning of the pandemic. I mean, seriously. I mean, we thought there wouldn't be 25 people there because a lot of people out here don't want to get out, but then you're seeing now that they're going to get out. I mean, especially if you've got both your shots, you're almost in awesome, great shape. So you may as well get out. People with one shot's getting out. So, I mean, you're seeing more people move around. And I think by August, the mask mandate will be gone.
Mm-hmm. I think it will be too. So for clarity, did you have to go home? You didn't get to see it?
No. We'll have to go back this coming weekend and hopefully get to see it then.
You can take her to a matinee.
Well,
that'll
if I do that,
that'll save you some money, and you'll be more likely to get tickets. See, this is me looking out for you again. Well,
I told her, I said, you know what? We should have probably come and got our tickets early. She said, yep, we should have probably did that. If I listen to her more often, we get more things accomplished.
You're probably not the first man to say that, or you may be the first to say it, but you're not the first to realize it.
Oh, I realized it from day one. If she's talking, there has to be something important going on because I know it went over my head. So, but we had a good time yesterday. Anytime we can be together, I'm out. She's working. She works, and I'm helping Leslie County baseball. We're out 3 or 4 nights a week. So anytime we get together, it's awesome. And last night we had a good time. Last night, we like to listen to. I don't know if you ever heard Rowdy Yates. You ever heard of Rowdy Yates?
I don't think so. No, what's that?
It's a country. He does country music, but he does his own show. It's called Rowdy Yates. You can win if you're caller number 10 every once an hour, you can win a T-shirt or keychain, all kinds of stuff. He's got his own barbecue. So look him up. Rowdy Yates.
Rowdy Yates.
ROWDY. Then Yates YATES.
Okay, Rowdy
Look
Yates.
him up. I think you will enjoy him. But
2 hours on the air with you, I get all the rowdy I can handle, CJ.
Well, yeah. I try to bring a little excitement to everybody's life.
You do. You for sure do that. I mean, we're already 50 minutes into this, and it goes by really fast. I mean, look, you've really built this program and brought it along. You're getting all these great guests. Last time I was on, you had Ryan Lemon. You got Freddie Maggard coming on tonight. You're pulling some star power here, buddy.
Yeah, well, we got to have the best. Freddie, I've known Freddie for a long time, but when Freddie was on the Big Dipper show a long time ago, and I remember that interview so well. They talked about his history, and the Big Dipper was a very smart individual. I mean, he knew everything about mountain sports. So, I mean, we're going to dive into that because Freddie was played 4 years at UK. Played for Cumberland High School. A lot of people don't know that's not a school no more because that's part of Harlan County. He's now at KSR working with Ryan Lemon and the gang there. So, I mean, he's an influenceable person and he knows Kentucky football. If you want to know what they're going to be, you can ask him. He's going to tell you about it.
Yeah, I always enjoyed his analysis on the pregame shows. I guess he doesn't do as much of the radio stuff anymore. Maybe he's back doing. I know he had that job for a while with UK as was it the player development director? I forget what his exact title was, but he actually worked within the UK football program. But he knows his stuff, and this is a good time to talk about UK football. My understanding is they're really putting together a strong recruiting class coming up, so it'd be a good time to talk to him about that. The old Cumberland High School player, same alma mater as my good friend Brandon Robinson. I'm sure he knows Brandon, and Eddie Creech, who just recently hung up the cleats as Harlan County's head coach, my friend as well. He also went to Cumberland. I'm not sure if he and Freddie were there at the same time. I think Freddie might have been a little bit before Eddie Creech was, but a lot of history, a lot of good athletes have come out of Harlan County.
A lot of people don't know what the other two schools were that combined to make Harlan County, which is
Everett and Kaywood.
Everett and Kaywood. Yes, that's exactly right. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't mean to cut you off. I thought it was trivia time for Tanner, and I was
supposed to trivia time for Tanner, but I don't know why I jumped in there. But you remember the days when Everett had some really good teams. I remember Scotty Russell, Mr. Football. Kaywood had some really good teams back in the old days. Cumberland really had some good teams. Scotty Russell, though, he's one of the best running backs I've seen. He deserved to be Mr. Football the year he won it.
Yeah, and I know this isn't football, but talking about Everett's, I mean, you have to bring up Billy Hicks, the all-time winningest boys coach, and had a great career there at Everett's and then later at Corbin. And, the rivalry that rose up between Corbin and Clay County when Bobby Keith was at Clay County. I mean, people are still talking about that today. And then Billy went on, of course, to have the great career at Scott County, took them to a state title, took them to the Sweet 16 a bunch of times. And he was an Everett's guy.
Yeah. I miss the old days when these schools that consolidated are no longer around. I miss MC Napier and Dils Combs. I miss those schools. I miss Everett, Cumberlands and Everett's, Will Rides. The schools that are no longer here because they built other schools. And I know you gotta do that to be able to keep your students. But I miss those times because it was exciting.
Well, it's interesting you say that, CJ, because I had that same conversation with Kenny Rice once. I was interviewing him back when I still worked at WYMT. I did like a long 30-minute interview with him at his house in Lexington. And I think everybody knows who Kenny Rice is, but just in case somebody doesn't, he now works for NBC Sports. He's on their horse racing coverage. He's from Floyd County. His dad was a legendary mine inspector around here. Kenny has called college sports, professional sports for years, for national networks, worked in Lexington television. Everybody knows who Kenny Rice is. But he had a very interesting point. I was talking to him about, why is it not quite the same now with particularly high school basketball as it was, as recently as 20 years ago and certainly 30, 40, 50 years ago. And he brought that up. And it was a point I'd never really thought about. One of the reasons you see attendance and interest decline in recent years is because you've had all of this consolidation. These people out in these remote areas, the Wheelwrights, the McDowells, in Harlan County, Everett's, Cumberland, anywhere that's not, centralized. These are little tiny communities and hollers, and those people are very proud of their school. They're very proud of their athletic programs, and they just don't identify as much with, say, Harlan County or here in Floyd County where I'm at. Now there's Floyd Central, which it's a great, beautiful facility, great school. Our friend Josh McKinney teaches there, and I
just saw Josh a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
we played baseball against him up there. It was good to see him too.
But, people in Wheelwright and McDowell and, the people that, go to Floyd Central, they just don't identify with the name and brand Floyd Central like maybe they would a Wheelwright or a Wayland, You got King Kelly Coleman. And I guess the point is not that, I think those schools do get supported. But it's just you don't have that identity in those communities like you used to. And Kenny had a really interesting theory about all that. And after he laid it out like that, it really made a lot of sense to me. How consolidation has really hurt interest and attendance in high school sports. Now it's necessary. I mean, you can't if these schools are losing money and they don't have enough, students and teachers to have a school. I mean, you have to consolidate. You can't avoid consolidation for the sole purpose of trying to, just for the sake of keeping a school. I mean, I get why consolidation happens, but you hate to see it. I mean, with, all these, the Wheelwrights and the Whalens and the Everetts and the Cumberlands of the world, that's now a bygone era, and it's pretty bittersweet.
But I'm a nostalgia guy because I like the old times. My favorite time was when it was district tournament, and I knew that Leslie, MC Napier, Dills Combs, Hazard, and Buckhorn, somebody was not going to make the tournament a good team, and it made for a lot of invite and intrigue because you didn't know what was going to happen. And the same way with Everett and Cumberlands and all those schools. And I just miss them, but I'm more of an old school guy. So.
Yeah. And that's a good point too. Everybody was good back then. I mean, this is back when, you had all these coal miners and, families were having 7, 8, 10, a dozen kids. And so, they would all go to the same school and they were these big, brawny athletes, and every team was good. You had these people at all of these schools, and you didn't know come tournament time who was going to win, and that made for much more exciting action and anticipation. And that's another reason these gyms were always packed on Friday nights. Another
2 schools I forgot about: Fleming Neon and Letcher, regular Letcher. Fleming Neon always had a place in my heart because of the Kissers, Doug and Sue Kisser. They were my favorite people in the world. I mean, I love going to Fleming Neon and we could see them. We played them all the time at Lester County. Coach Wilson was coaching, and it'd be awesome. Yeah, Coach Wilson on one side, Doug and Sue on the other. It was just awesome. But I love them, and I miss them a lot.
Well, since you brought up Fleming Neon, I have to take a second to throw out the name Jack Hall to you.
Yep, Side Saddle Jack.
Side Saddle Jack. I had the pleasure of interviewing him once, probably a couple years before he passed away. And we interviewed him on Sports 101 on WSGS. And that clip is still out there. If you Google Side Saddle Jack WSGS or Jack Hall WSGS, that clip will come up. And he was an absolute treat. And you talk about an innovator and a guy who was, I don't want to say, maybe I'll say ahead of his time as a high school football coach, and just had some great teams at Fleming Neon.
People see that. People see their quarterbacks doing that, and they were thinking, what are they doing? Side saddle snap? No, that's not working. But you know what? If you done that today, I don't think some teams would freak out. I believe they'd be like, well, they're going to shotgun the ball all the time to the running back. Oh, no, here it comes. Then the quarterback just keep it and go. Or you can still bring out offense and run it, but you'd have to be very patient and very, very calm. But if some defenses would see that now, they'd be freaking out.
Yeah, it's interesting, too, with all of the unconventional, especially in college football, all of the unconventional formations you see now. I feel like if somebody came out and ran the side saddle formation, it wouldn't even make Sports Center that night. Because, I mean, look, college football has evolved so much. It's not just everybody running the old Nebraska 3 yards in a cloud of dust. We're going to line up and run behind our offensive line. I mean, it's the X's and O's have changed a lot. These formations are very exotic. They're very tough to defend. They're very creative. And I think that now if somebody tried to run the side saddle formation, it would just be like, okay, well, this is a new thing, and we'll deal with it like we would the Wildcat formation or anything else.
Yeah. We talk football now. You got a chance to see Moorhead in their spring 7-game schedule. What'd you think?
I was impressed. They really came on. They improved each week. They were picked to finish last in the Pioneer Football League, ended up finishing second. They lost. They barely lost to Davidson by 2 points. I think it was 2 points, maybe 3. They missed a field goal in that game. It was terrible weather down in Davidson. That was at Davidson, and they had weather delays. They only had a 5-minute halftime. It was just a mess of a game, and they almost won that one. Davidson ended up winning the conference and getting the PFL's automatic bid to the FCS playoff. So if Moorhead could have pulled that one out, which they should have, then they would have ended up getting first in the conference and gotten the conference's automatic bid to the FCS playoffs, which would have been the first time in school history that happened. So they were very close. They had a great year. They got a good quarterback in Mark Pappas. Their defense at one point led the conference, and I think maybe the entire country in interceptions. I never saw the final stats. Of course, the playoffs are still going on. But they had a great season. To be picked to finish last and then finish second in such a weird COVID-shortened spring season. I think Moorhead State football definitely will look back on this season as a success.
How hard is it going to be on them to turn back around here in 3 months and play again?
That's a good question, and I actually asked some of the coaches that. Last Saturday was Moorhead's last game, and that was the day in April where they would normally play the spring game anyway. Mm-hmm. So you have the same amount of time off through the summer. I mean, obviously there's summer workouts and stuff, but your summer routine is going to be the same. Because the season ended, you played your last game when you would normally play your spring game, and then you have the fall season scheduled to start, whatever that is, first week of September, last week of August. So you have the same amount of time off. As far as the wear and tear from playing the spring season, I mean, Moorhead only played 7 games. Some teams only played 5 or 6 games. So I think the coaches at this point are, saying this is such a new situation. We don't really know how our players will, how physically they'll react to it. But, they're in the primes of their athletic careers, and they get the kind of same routine in the summer as they usually do. So I think as long as they're careful, they should be okay. I will say that the referees I talked to in the spring season told me that they did not see any more injuries and didn't throw any more penalties than they normally would in a regular season game or regular season campaign in the fall. So by all accounts, this spring season went as regularly and as typically as one could hope. And we'll see if these players show any signs of fatigue come fall.
I know they won't start to the first week of September, but I mean, you're going to have them out there probably in the middle of August preparing for what was another season, which is going to be a full season. I mean, it's going to be a 10-game schedule. So, or 11 games, however some teams play. But, I mean, it's going to be hard on some teams because you got the new rule on transfer and stuff like this. People can stay back. That's going to hurt all that stuff has to tie in at one time.
Yeah, that's a good point too. And, the transfer angle, I don't know how deep down the rabbit hole we want to get on that. That's a whole new world. And that's a new aspect to college recruiting that I don't fully understand. Obviously you have a lot more players transferring now than you're used to, but that is a good point. I mean, they played 6 or 7 games in the spring. Now they got to turn around, go through summer workouts and play at least 11 games in the fall. It's going to be tough. That is a lot to ask these young athletes to do. But not all of, they weren't forced to play in the spring. They could have opted out. I guess theoretically they could opt out of the fall too. But from what I understand, at least in Moorhead State's case, a lot of these young men are taking advantage of this season, not counting against their eligibility. And they're going to get to play five seasons of football. And a lot of them are picking up second majors or going to grad school or spreading their credit hours out to where they can stay and get whatever academic aid they're getting and compete and take advantage of this free year of football.
Yeah. I know also start next year, you're fully aware, high school is going to be having a comeback rule. 1 year, you can come back if you're a senior. So I'm wondering how many of these seniors will try that rule this year.
It's interesting. I've seen some discussion on that, and there's actually some pessimism surrounding that. I don't know if that many athletes will actually do it. For one thing, I just don't know how many. I mean, if you're a senior and you're graduating, how many student athletes want to forego their first year at college or their first year as an 18, 19-year-old out in the real world? How many of you want to forego that to come back to high school just to play sports? I don't know. And I've heard that there are going to be some logistical difficulties with it. I'm glad the KHSAA is providing that option. I think that is a plan that really puts the student athletes first, and the KHSAA should be commended for it. But I have seen some discussion with people saying just logistically they're not quite sure how it will work, or how many high school athletes will actually end up taking advantage of it. But we'll see. Again, this is, we say this ad nauseum during COVID. This is an unconventional, unprecedented situation, and we'll just have to see how it plays out.
Freddie's having problems getting on. That's okay. We're going to try to get him, see if we can't get him. If not, then we may have to try to get him on phone. People, you learn real quick when you're dealing with the StreamYard, you have to click on there, and you have to have a certain Google or something. So I think we're just going to have him call me.
Okay.
So we'll have him. I'll give him the number, and we'll try to talk to him that way.
Well, that's no problem. We're grateful for Freddie and all our guests for taking their time here on this Sunday evening. And I guess since this is your season finale, you're taking the summer off and then coming back probably in August for football season, I'm guessing?
Yes, August 8th is going to be our first show, season 2. We'll hopefully have some nice logos, and I'm going to try to get some sponsors. We'll try to do that, see if that works out. So we'll go ahead, call your own CJ Harris show.
Yeah, this is Freddie.
Hey, Freddie, how you doing, How you doing?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Well, I was going to try to help you there. I was going to tell you when you click on that link that if you're on a computer, I think you just use Safari or Google, and it should let you go right in there.
I've tried everything. I can't get on that for some reason.
Well, you know what? One of these days, I'll be glad to show you how to get on there.
Okay. Sounds good.
We are tickled to death to have you on here, Freddie. We've known you. I've known you a long time. I've known you back since the Big Dipper days. I remember you being on the Big Dipper show. I remember you doing an interview with him. I remember you playing at Cumberland High School, and then your days at UK. Let's talk about that a little bit. Let's first of all talk about your days at Cumberland, because if a lot of people don't know about Cumberland High School, it was a good place to play football.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the stretch of years that I was there, Cumberland played in 3 state championship games in football, and it was a football program that was extremely talented. We had a lot of good players on the teams there at Cumberland. Bobby McIlham, I think, is arguably the best player to ever play at Cumberland. He was before me. Then we followed up and went to the state championship. So, yeah, we had some good teams. We had good teams in every sport. Baseball, there at Cumberland had a stretch with Coach Roger Morris, I think, won 9 region championships in a row and 13 or 14 total. So Cumberland was a dominant baseball program. And then basketball, we had Macy Morris's dad. Lewis was the KHSAA Male Athlete of the Year. He was a teammate of mine. Paul Showtime Gaffney, who played 15 years with the Harlan Globetrotters, he was on that team. So we had a lot of good athletes, had a lot of good times. And I do a lot of speaking. I talk to a lot of folks. Playing high school sports was the best of my athletic career. I enjoyed playing at Cumberland much more than I enjoyed playing at Kentucky, to be quite honest with you.
I think I hear a lot of people talk about their high school days, and you were a phenomenal quarterback. UK was wanting you. When the decade you played, the quarterback position was it known more for? I know it was known for passing, but you didn't really have to be very skillful. I mean, you could just, if you had a great arm, you could get the ball down the field.
Yeah, it was different. It was a different time. For Jerry Claiborne, we ran the ball a lot. I think I counted up one day 7 or 8 running backs and fullbacks that were drafted in the National Football League that were teammates of mine. So we relied heavily on the run game. And then the SEC and college football nationally changed when Steve Spurrier took the job at Florida my junior year. And when he did that, everybody had to change. And we had a new offensive coordinator, Tommy Bowden, who went on to be the head coach of Clemson, was our offensive coordinator. He revolutionized what we did at Kentucky and brought that level of downfield passing. So, yeah, it was a different time. Spread wasn't invented at that point. But again, Steve Spurrier came in and changed the game for everybody.
I enjoyed watching you at UK. I loved watching you at Cumberland High School. When you were on the field, you took so much pride to make yourself better every day. Talk a little bit about how you done that, because a lot of people don't understand that it takes a lot of dedication to be a really good athlete.
Yeah, it does. And for me, I was never playing for myself. I was playing for my teammates and my community. I think that's something that's missing right now. With consolidation, in some cases, it's taken away the home community, the hometown team like Cumberland was. For me, it was a community. Friday nights were community events. Everybody was at the game. So, I took a lot of pride in playing at Cumberland because, again, I was playing for my teammates and also my hometown because I took a lot of pride in it. I loved it, and I just wanted us, the guys that have grown up, that grew up together, to go on and play at a level that we can compete with anybody in the state of Kentucky, and we proved that in every sport that I played in. Football, basketball, and baseball.
I know football was your favorite sport, but what was your next favorite sport?
Baseball. That was actually the decision I had to make. Was either take, I signed with Kentucky, but then I was drafted by Kansas City, the Royals, out of high school, and had to make that decision and decided to further my education and get my degree and play football at Kentucky, and I never looked back.
Yeah, you had a good career at Kentucky. Then you graduated from Kentucky. I feel like if I want to know what Kentucky football now, I want to come to you because you're going to have the input we're going to need to know about the Cats. Let's talk a little bit about this upcoming team and the recruiting, because they are doing phenomenal right now.
Yeah, especially at the line of scrimmage. State of Kentucky football. Let's start with this. High school football in Kentucky is at a pinnacle right now. It's the best that it's ever been. Teams are better, producing more players to college. The coaching is outstanding. So high school football across the state of Kentucky is at an all-time high level. And with that, you're producing Grant Bingham at Johnson Central. You're producing Jagger Burton at Frederick Douglass. Walker Parks at Douglas with the Clemson. Jedrick Wills at Alabama now with Brown. So Kentucky is producing a lot of offensive line talent. And I think you have to start there because up front, John Young, a 4-star out of Louisville, and I can go on and on. But yeah, the state of Kentucky is producing a lot of players. And last year's class for Kentucky was strong with Jagger Burton, Lavelle Wright, a bunch of those guys that came in. And then this year's the class that they're putting together for 2022 is projected to be the best that they've ever gotten. And I start with Grant Bingham there in Johnson Central, Trevion Longmire and Corbin. You get the kicker out of Boyle County, Jackson Smith. So, yeah, Kentucky's doing a great job recruiting, and then get Keontae Goodwin, who's from the Louisville area. So, yeah, the Cats are on on a roar right now, recruiting, especially in the state of Kentucky. But it all goes back to high school, and what we're seeing is Kentucky high school football. For many years, for decades, even going back to my dad's team at Car Creek, who won the state championship. High school basketball was king in the state of Kentucky, and I think football has surpassed basketball as far as producing talent and quality of teams. You see a lot of teams for Kentucky that are nationally ranked, a lot of players signing Division I, Power 5 football scholarships, way more so than basketball these days. So it all goes to the coaches, and I give all the credit to the high school coaches in the state of Kentucky. They're doing a fantastic job.
I'm excited about this Kentucky team this year. Rondell Robinson back. He's going to bring a spark that the Wildcats have needed. Who will be the quarterback? That's going to be the question. The new offensive coordinator, I think he's going to have a great offense for him to run. What's your thoughts?
Well, quarterback position is not going to be decided until halfway through the fall camp. That's just as simple as that, because Joey Gatewood has played extremely well. Bo Allen has played well at times, and those two are competing. And then Will Levis, the Penn State transfer, is going to come in and this summer and participate in summer workout. And then the first 15 practices of fall camp is a time where you're not focused on an opponent yet. You're just focused on building your team, and that's where you see depth chart moves. And that is when you're going to have a starting quarterback name. If I had to name one right now, I couldn't, because it's an open competition.
Yep.
But you don't bring in a transfer from Penn State to sit. You bring him into play. So he is definitely going to get his shot. But you nailed it with the offensive coordinator. Lynn Cohen has changed the game there in Kentucky. They're having fun. They're throwing the football down the field. It's going to be a totally different offense. And Wandale Robinson is a superstar. The Nebraska transfer from Frankfurt is going to be a superstar. I mean, I'll tell people this all the time. Show your appreciation now, because he's only going to be here for 1 year. Then he'll go on to the NFL. But that 1 year could be something special. I think Josh Ali has a chance at receiver as well. But I like how Cohen, the offensive coordinator, is going to utilize the tight ends. That's a very deep position group for Kentucky with Justin Riggs, Keaton Upshaw, and Brendan Bates. I think that is a strength. And then, you get excited about the quarterbacks and pass catchers, and you can't forget about the offensive line. You got an All-American, Darian Kennard, at left tackle, Luke Fortner, who will play the National Football League at guard to hold that line down. And then it's almost a forgotten note that the top-rated running back in the country, Chris Rodriguez, is coming back for an additional year. So there's a lot of tools there for Lee and Cohen to work with. I think offensively, Kentucky's going to be just fine. There's a lot of depth, especially on the offensive line. So I think Kentucky will definitely increase its total yardage and its points per game in 2021.
Tanner, do you have anything you want to talk with Freddie about?
Well, Freddie, just real quick, thanks for your time tonight. And
Sure.
You mentioned that Kentucky high school football is at a pinnacle. Kentucky is churning out more talented players than ever before from the high school ranks. What has been the key to that? How have these Kentucky high school programs been able to flip the switch and start producing this high-level talent, in your opinion?
I think it all started with Tim Couch. I think Tim Couch changed the script for Kentucky high school athletics across the board. And then with Tim, Dennis Johnson, there at Harrisburg, these are also really good basketball players. So I think with him, football became the focus. And that was what was lacking, was football being the focus, because, let's just face it. I mean, even I'm a basketball fan. But people start seeing, hey, you can play football and you can go to these schools. And participation is up. And then I think where y'all located at, to be specific?
I'm from Barberville. Tanner,
I'm from Moorhead, but CJ is originally from Leslie County. So
yeah, I'm from Leslie.
From the Tim Couch stuff is music to his ears.
But look at some of the powerhouses in Eastern Kentucky. Johnson Central.
Yep.
I mean, that's a machine over there. Corbin has sustained and actually moved up in classification. And, you know, you have Patterson and Longmire there that are Longmire's going to be a Kentucky Wildcat. So I think Tim Couch changed the game. I think popularity and interest in football increased from Tim to where it is today, where it is more of a focal point and athletes that at some point in time were not playing football, but now see there's opportunity to play at the next level. And that's something that I took a lot of pride in. You know, again, I never thought about myself. I wanted to show people from where I was from that, hey, you just got to work hard. You got to have, you know, you have to work hard and you can do this. So I think just the opportunity to play college ball across Kentucky has just blossomed into where it is now. You know, it's a football state. I mean, let's be honest about it. I mean, it's amazed me to see the improvement in high school football, and especially in Eastern Kentucky, something I've really enjoyed watching. And, you know, I got to call the painful state championship game when they won it, you know, this year, and that was a lot of fun. So it's just I think the opportunities presented itself, and coaches and athletes are taking advantage of it.
Anything else you want to ask him, Tanner?
No, thanks for the time, Freddie.
Freddie,
Yeah, you're welcome.
one other thing, I'm gonna let you go. You've been gracious to be a part of this, but tell me about your KRS days here. You've been doing a lot for them. Tell me what you've been doing with them.
Yeah, so I'm a football writer for KSR. I cover all angles of football. You know, so I cover, you know, this week's big is the draft. We're going to have a lot of coverage about that. I also have my own podcast, the Depth Chart podcast, which is, you can find it on KSR as well. So, yeah, it's, I do a lot of football writing and do a lot of radio during the season, even pregame show for KSR from UK games, and then various places ask me to be on, and I always try to oblige if I can. So, just everything football for KSR is what I do.
Yeah, KSR has become a big thing. Matt Jones has built that thing to a monster. Him and you and Ryan Lemon, all of you guys do a tremendous job, and it's awesome when we get the time to have you here. Freddie, I would love to have you back again because would you come back again?
Yeah, sure. Maybe I can figure out this computer thing one day.
Oh, hey, you don't worry about that. I'll help you out. You just you give me a call and I'll walk you through it.
All right. Sounds good.
All right, Freddie. We want to thank you for your time, Freddie. We appreciate it, and you be safe, and we'll talk to you down the road.
Okay, guys. Thanks for having
All
me.
right. Thank you. Freddie Bagger, former University of Kentucky Wildcat, KSR person. That was awesome. That was awesome, Tanner. I like that.
Freddie is very knowledgeable, always a treat to talk with him. I remember when I was at WYMT, we would do a weekly sit-down segment with him. I think every Monday or Tuesday following that Saturday's game, he would sit down with us at Commonwealth Stadium, now Kroger Field, with a member of the WYMT sports team and offer his thoughts. And it's really interesting and encouraging to hear the comments he makes about the overall talent level of Kentucky high school football improving and reaching, he called it a pinnacle. I agree with them, but in a sense, I hope that it's not a pinnacle in that, you know, the pinnacle implies that it's going to come back down after this. I hope it just, the bar keeps getting raised and the talent level continues to go up with high school football in Kentucky. And he's right. You know, he points to Grant Bingham at Johnson Central, Travion Longmire down in Corbin, the Godwin kid from Louisville who just committed to Kentucky. And, you know, not all of them are even necessarily going to Kentucky. You know, they're going to other big schools. And then, you know, some who maybe aren't quite at the level to go to a Kentucky or a Louisville are going, you know, to an Eastern or a Moorhead or a Murray State or a U Pike. And I mean, those are good programs too. And those programs are benefiting just as much as UK is from this increase in talent and skill and quality of student athlete that we're seeing in Kentucky high school football.
Yeah, no question about that. Friday nights are my favorite. I love Friday nights because I get that chill bumps. But I tell you what, you better watch Corbin this year because Corbin, if football gets back to a regular 10 game, I think Corbin can win 4A. I think they're good enough to win it this year. I think with Lombard, all the sophomores are juniors now. I think they're going to be off and running.
Yeah, I did not see Corbin last season. I saw them the season before, which is when actually you were at that game when they played Knox Central. You and I called that one in the same press box, but for different radio stations. But that was the last time I saw Corbin, and they were good then. And so I can only imagine how much they've improved since then. Longmire had another year. Who's the Dakota Patterson, the other player who Kentucky's going after?
And the quarterback Combs.
Yeah, they have a really good team. So, and you would love to see them win 4A. Of course, Johnson Central still 4A.
Yeah.
But I can't think off the top of my head how that bracket would work. Would they have to play each other before they get to Lexington?
Depends on the RPI. That's
Okay.
that old pesky RPI. I hate that thing. That's the only thing I hate about high school sports. I've noticed that they even have an RPI in baseball now for high school baseball. And I'm just looking here. Danville has the top RPI in 12th region baseball. They're 17-2. But, there's teams in here with good records with a poor RPI. So, I wish we would go back to the old school way of the playoffs because I thought that was the best way to play. Because why are you playing your district opponents in the regular season if you're not playing for your district title? And why are you playing for the district championship in week 2 of the playoffs? I think it just messes up everything that they're playing for.
Yeah, I definitely think there's a way to reform it. I don't think you totally throw the baby out with the bathwater. I think you need to keep the good parts about the system that are in place and maybe change and adopt some of the elements of the old system that were good. The problem is, CJ, no matter which way you decide to do it, there's always going to be arbitrary lines you have to draw, and that's going to disadvantage some teams no matter how you choose to do it. But in terms of a more fair and equitable system, I agree with you. The RPI is tough. Sometimes the RPI gets it right. Sometimes it doesn't. But I think it's a little different animal with baseball because at least in baseball, by the end of the season, you've got 20 or 30 games on which to judge a team. Football, you've only got 10 games in a regular season. That is an awfully small sample size on which to judge a team. So at least with baseball, even though it's a little bit wackier of a sport in small sample sizes, you can get a sample of 25 or 30 games in a high school regular season.
But they don't really start counting the RPI until week 4. Week 4 down to week 10. They're calculating the first 3 weeks, but once you get to week 4, they're going to finally bring out the first RPI rankings. Nobody knows what the RPI is the first 3 weeks. Well, if you don't know what it is the first 3 weeks, then that defeats the purpose. You ought to have it from day one. But it's okay. As long as they're playing, I don't care. I can handle the RPI. But the playoffs are, basketball and baseball have the format of district tournament, regional tournament. Baseball has the sectionals. Then you go on to Applebee's Final 8. Football doesn't. Football has a playoff format, and they don't really use the RPI until the regional finals because the first 2 rounds are district play, and then RPI kicks in week 3, the regional finals. So that's why you see sometimes the matchups that you see, like if if Corbin's going to be really good this year, we'll say Johnson Central has one of their average years. But they're probably not because Jim Matney's never had an average year. But say they did. Well, they may meet in the regional finals because their RPIs might be what requires them to play. So, but
yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, for every point you can bring up in favor of the RPI system, there is a compelling and valid counterpoint against it. And I guess I would just bring up too, though. I mean, I know there are some high school systems. For a while, Ohio used to do this, but they got away from it, and they've got their own formula similar to RPI now. But some states may still have this. They do like a voting system where a panel of either coaches or media members or like a select committee or a combination of those folks, they'll actually vote like you would see in the college football AP top 25. And to me, if you tried to implement a system like that, it would just be too susceptible to corruption. And I think that would be worse than an RPI, quite honestly.
Yeah, that would.
You
really have people freaking out then. They'd be like,
yeah, I mean, there. You talk about some money changing hands under the table in a system like that. That I think that would invite itself to corruption.
All right, Tanner Nolan wants to know. Kim Mulkey moved to LSU, and the Kentucky women's basketball has elevated their program. And he wants to know, have you ever been in Clark County's new gym?
The last time I called a game at Clark County was 2012. So if they've built a gym since 2012, I have not been in it. The one they had in 2012 when I was there was nice. But if he's saying new gym, I assume it's like within the last year or two. So no, I haven't been. I'd like to. And then the point about Kim Mulkey leaving, I guess she was at Baylor and is going to LSU. That's a big hire for LSU. And that surprises me a little bit because LSU has been in some hot water and gotten some bad headlines lately. We won't go down that rabbit hole too far, but just some stuff with their ex-football coach and some athletic administrators and some allegations that were covered up. They've really taken a black eye in the public lately. And for them to make that kind of a hire is really a home run. And speaking of home runs, CJ, your new guest here, that's not Willie. I thought we were having Willie on. This is a disappointment.
Okay. I was gonna say there he is. We did the award show, and then we went to Applebee's, and it was like 6 or 9, 10. I was like, we gotta go. Like, we only got 10 minutes. He's like, oh, we'll be fine. I was like, no, I'm leaving. I'll see you later.
See, Camille wanted to be prompt. She wanted to be on time.
Yes, Willie's just so like willy-nilly, and I'm like, no, I gotta go.
Well, see, Willie's going to learn when he starts coaching that you got to go to places on time.
Exactly.
If you're late for a game, they don't like that.
I mean, I'm tired of you already. See, this is why I'm not going to miss you. This is why when you said, do I miss you? I said no. Just things like this. The perfect example.
I legit get back from vacation and I call him, and the first thing I say, I'm like, did you miss me? He was like, no. And I was like, oh, that was rude.
He did.
Yeah. He acts like he hates me, but that's not true.
No, he don't. He there ain't a hateful bone in his body. I can tell you that right now.
True. You're right about that, CJ.
Yeah, he's too kind. He can't. No, I don't believe that. Well, is it starting to hit you? Now I know you got 1 week left. And how you feeling?
Good. I've been holding back the tears and whatnot, but it's definitely going to places for the last time and things like that, and talking with coaches and players. It's definitely starting to hit me. So it's going to be very hard. Friday is going to be very difficult day. For sure.
I've got a little video that I put together of some pictures from YMT and just some a little music to it. It's for you, and I'm gonna play it right now. And I hope you enjoy it. I just thought it was something I put together for you And because what you have done for me, for this show, and for everybody does not need to be forgotten. I hope you like it. I just put it together today, and I hope you enjoy it. Okay, so we're gonna watch it right now.
Forever friends, forever you and me, forever, ever and always will be. Forever friends, forever you and me, forever, ever and always will be. Forever friends, forever you and me, forever, ever and always will be. Forever friends, forever you and me, forever, ever and always will be. Friends forever, parting never, never. Friends forever, you and me will always, always be. Forever friends, forever you and me, forever, ever and always will be. Forever friends, forever you and me, forever, ever and always will be. Forever friends will be. Forever friends will be.
Well, I hope you enjoyed it. I put it together earlier today, and I think you're going to be. You're my friend forever, and I just wanted to do that for you.
I appreciate it. I really do. It means a lot here. Actually, my wife needs me to do something. So give me one second real quick. I will be right back. I'll be right back.
All right, come on. I put that together earlier. What do you think about that, Tanner? Can I put?
I don't think his wife actually needs him. I think he's got to go get a tissue. I think that's what his wife needs him to do something.
I definitely tuned up. I was like, okay, CJ, stop. I'm trying to say that for Friday.
Well, but I wanted to get a head start because, I thought that song was perfect.
Yeah, I would agree. For sure.
So was that you singing the song, CJ?
Do what?
Was that you singing the song?
No, because if I was singing the song, he probably would have put earplugs in. So no. I told I want to do something for him because, like I said, he's changed me in this show, and I couldn't have done it without him. So, but Willie, that's yours. If you want a copy of that, I'll try to send it to you.
Absolutely, I would love a copy of that.
Yes. One thing I asked you last week, I left you with your 10 moments you've done, and then 10 moments that you've been here, and moments you won't forget. Which one do you want to do first?
We can do the 10 that I've done. Yeah, we can do that one first. So Camille, actually, we're actually talking about this. I think one of my favorite stories, I guess, is like a two-part, so I guess this counts as two, but did a story with Anthony Mullahan, who's umpire in the 14th region. There's some referee in the 14th region. Did a story on him. He lost his arm in a meat grinder in his early 20s and had to rework everything. Inspiring story. And I love telling his story. And then Michaela Stanball from Jenkins, she was one who she was born, I can't remember the specific condition, but she was born without the digits on her, I can't remember which hand it was, but so she played softball, volleyball. He said she even played a little bit of basketball too. Could paint, could do all this different stuff. And I just like telling stories of hope. It's always something that I wanted to do, tell stories to uplift people in Eastern Kentucky and just what they've gone through and the struggles. And I feel like those two were two of my favorites. Definitely. And obviously we're talking about the 2019 football state championships. being there to cover 4 state champions. Some people don't get to cover 1. I got to cover 4 in the span of 2 days and 6 total teams. I mean, that's ridiculous. That was, obviously a great moment, not only for Eastern Kentucky football, but Eastern Kentucky as a whole, to be on display at the state level. I mean, kids probably got looks and scholarships out of things like that, even on the losing teams, to be able to make it to that level. And for me to be able to put that, to be able to cover that. I mean, that first night, Pikeville and Belfry, and then the second night, Somerset game, which is kind of my 4th one. Never been a part of a game like that. Football game. I've seen buzzer beaters and things like that in basketball because it's just more common a lot of the times. But to go 89 yards in 33 seconds or whatever it was, pass interference, untimed down. That's something special. And the stories that came out of that, obviously, Camille did the story on the wristband. That was so special to Kaya. But also the coach, goodness gracious, and I'm so sorry I cannot remember his name, defensive coordinator, his mother had passed. And so you play for a lot of bigger things than yourself. Things like that. I will never forget that game. That's one of the only times I forgot I had to work because you're just so caught up in the moment. And something like that happens. I mean, you're so caught up in that moment that you're like, oh, I gotta capture this. I gotta get the moments and things like that. But that was special for sure. That was probably one of the more special moments that I was able to cover. Others, I'm trying to think of other stories I've done. Jace Bowling from South Laurel, who had a prosthetic leg, was a senior last year in 2020. Senior night, he hits an amazing 3. And just to be able to tell his story of perseverance from, obviously you can see the theme is perseverance in a lot of the stories I like to tell, and the overcoming. And I just love telling his story. I love talking to him about that. So I think that's 5. Another one that I actually just think, and I loved talking with him, but Randy McCoy at East Ridge, when I did the story on him when he retired, that one was fun. Just going back, when you talk to a lot of older coaches, they go back through the memories, and he's been, to California, he's been overseas coaching basketball in New York City, all these different places. Obviously UPike, Morehead State, winning everywhere he goes. And that one was fun because you get to recap, you get to look back at, his life. I mean, his life was putting his heart and soul into these kids. Obviously, he did that at East Ridge for multiple years. But looking back at what he did for not only the communities he was in, but just for the kids and just especially, I just love telling that story and just kind of getting to go back through his life. Was that 6? I believe.
Yep.
Goodness, CJ, I don't tell that many good stories, so you're stressing me out.
You're dramatic.
If 6 or 7 is what you got, that's fine. But the other part of that is what from the beginning to now. What's the 5 stories that you may not have done the story, but and it might not be a sports story. It might be a news story or something that touched you so much, and
I think number 1 has to be Ethan Wolf. And we were there tonight. They honored him. Obviously, that is the best moment.
Oh, they did. Oh,
that was awesome.
I would have loved to see that.
Yeah. I mean, he just so happy. His family was happy, and just just the joy that when he walks into a room. I think the joy that he brings people. Obviously, that's something that all his teammates talk about. What Coach Melton talks about with him, he just what Coach Rice talks about. He brings joy into a room. Yeah. And to see him be that happy, when he hit that shot, it goes viral. Sports Center, top 10. He's on the Today Show. He's everywhere, and just his heart, I think, his care about the game. That's enough to inspire anybody to run through a brick wall. To be honest. That has to be at the top of the list. Also, they went to the Harlan County strike. that was, I think that was what, 2 years ago now at this point, almost 2 years ago, with the coal miners, and to see Eastern, just to see Eastern Kentucky come together. I, a place and I often say Eastern Kentucky is not, I kind of relate with Eastern Kentuckians being and it's kind of funny because you wouldn't think that, but being a young black kid and there's always perception and stereotypes about you. There's always perception and stereotypes about people from Eastern Kentucky. But one thing about Eastern Kentuckians, they come together and they will stick together and they will fight tooth and nail for each other. I think that story just exemplifies that to the highest degree. And of course, we did a phenomenal job with coverage. Connor, Will, Emily was out there. I know I'm going to miss somebody. Hannah Reynolds was out there. Just so many people who were involved in that coverage. It was phenomenal. It really was. And I think that's a story that's always going to stick with me. The 4 championships obviously is going to stick with me. Like I say, you just covering that many state champions. Some people go their whole careers, and some that don't get to cover something that's that big, and to have 4 of them happen in the span of 2 days. Is just a lot of fun. It really is a lot of fun. There was one, and this is a great moment too. I remember last year, Sweet 16. Lesher Central was there playing against Ryle, and the game, of course, went down. And I cannot remember. I tried to go back and look at it. I couldn't figure it out. But she had torn her ACL for Lesher Central. Didn't play. Wasn't able to play at all. But she came in, and Ryle, she got her 2 points at Rubber Arena.
Wow, that's awesome.
Special moment, obviously for Ryle to do that, to allow it to happen is special, and then for her, obviously special as well. I will find a name for that. But that is, to me, and that, that's just what sports is all about. And then I think the one, and I actually covered this too, that I think about it, Martin County went in win the region for the first time since '83. The joy that came with it, obviously, for those seniors. For Ethan, I have a shot in there. I remember the shot distinctly. Ethan Smith Mills bent over, just almost in tears, to make history in that way. Trey James with the arms extended, him and his uncle hugging and embracing. Just that's definitely something I will never forget, because that place was full. I mean, Expo seats a lot of people, and to the highest, to the highest row. Well, not to the highest row, but even up in the highest stands, there were people there from both Martin County and Lawrence County, and just a phenomenal game. Things like that, man. You cannot, just how passionate people are. You can't overstate, I don't think. And that, for us, and I know Camille can second this, that makes it so much better for us, that people care, that people come out to the games to support their community, even if it's not your kid or whatever it is, that people come out and they care so much about their sports, because they care about their communities. Even I remember, James Phillips from Clay County. He had 2 daughters play. Shelby Phillips, who's now in college, and then Allie, who I believe is still at Clay County right now. But I went out there for softball for their send-off to state, which they became very close to winning a state title. Lost in the Final Four to the eventual champion male that year. But even going out there and covering that stuff, and just how much passion people have to see, sending them off, and just that turned into, they're just so thankful for you to be out there and to come out and to cover these memories, stuff that they'll be able to look back at 20, 30 years down the road. I think that's what makes this job so special. And I told my wife this. I don't know if I told Camille this, but this, if I had to work at one TV station, I'm glad it's here. There's nothing.
Emotion that,
There's, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to put into words. It really is. There's been nothing like covering these kids' moments.
Well, Tanner and Camille both. Well, Camille's learning, but Tanner more than probably Camille can tell you what passion it is to work at YMT, because he worked there a long time, still does things for him. But, you know, Tanner, go ahead and talk with Willie a little bit, because I know you guys done some things when he first got there.
Well, I will. Let me just say that Camille does a phenomenal job, and you know, she and I talk, and she has gotten the full Eastern Kentucky experience, I can assure you. And she's one of us here in the mountains now, whether she wants to realize it or not. But yeah. I mean, Willie, good luck to you. God bless you, man. I mean, you've had a great career there at WYMT, and you will always have the 2019 Gray Matters 5K to hold over my head. When you surge down the backstretch like Secretariat and overtook me, I had a glide path into the top 10, a top 10 finish, and Willie just closes like a semi-truck and beats me by like 0.2 of a second. And somewhere out there's that photo. I'll have to post it this week in honor of your final week. But anyway, congrats, man, and I fully expect you to be a great coach. I hope we get a classic clip of you chucking a chair across the court like Bobby Knight.
I don't know if I'll be that crazy. I've noticed about myself that when the magnitude, and my wife can attest to this, I'm at home, and when the game gets late, I'll start standing around the TV so that the adrenaline gets going. It builds up. You know, it's the excitement of it. You can't just I can't be sitting back on the couch. You gotta be up in it. So I don't know if I'll be to that degree. You know, I don't know if I'll sling any chairs or break any clipbourds.
You'll break a clipboard. Trust me.
You know,
Come on.
Well, I mean, hey, I've been around many coaches. I've seen clipboards broke. I've seen my share of clipboards get shattered. So I know it'll happen.
I don't know though, because in the almost 2 years that we've worked together, I mean, Willie is always calm, collected. He has gotten seriously mad twice and still never once has yelled. So it'll be interesting to see how he is. He's gonna be that coach that is really mad, but it's not gonna like do anything crazy. He's like, all right, guys, we gotta get it together.
Yeah. He'll probably wait till practice. I would say he won't, get after him real hard in the game. I mean, he will, but he's got a notepad. Okay, we're gonna run for this, we're gonna run for that. I'll break a clipboard at practice for this. We need to really go over that break. That's what he'll be doing. I mean, he'll be calm and collected, but he'll take it over in practice.
Hey, you got to take notes. You got to keep really good notes. You got to make sure that these things are acted out in due time. Though, in due time,
it's just like Tanner going to be if he can pass the bar, he'll be a lawyer, so he'll have to learn to take good notes. Because if you're not a good attorney and you ain't got good notes, you ain't winning your case.
Listen, this is my desk. I'm knocking on wood right now, CJ. Don't jinx me. Let's keep the focus on Willie right now.
but you got a big thing coming up this summer, so we got to. I mean, we don't want to forget about that because I won't be back until August the 8th. So by then we'll know the answer to you, and then Willie he'll be hopefully have a good coaching job, and he'll be finishing up the degree or whatever he's going to do, and so.
Yeah, Willie will be getting gray hair from coaching. I'll be getting gray hair from worrying over the bar exam. And Camille's hair will still be blonde and won't be affected by it.
Thank you. Absolutely. Blonde forever.
And
CJ, sorry I can't say anything about your hair, buddy.
I don't like hair, so that's why I keep my shade. So. Because I have that little bald patch right there. I have to keep that shade because people.
It looks good.
Well, thanks. But tomorrow is a shave day.
Okay. Me too.
Yeah. I guess the one thing that Willie, when you first got here, who'd you work with when you first started? And who you're going out with? Because I know you're going out with
favorite. Who's your favorite?
Well, I didn't say that. I just said who he started with, and I know besides Camille, who else is here for your final farewell?
I mean, it's a completely different. I started, of course, Marcus was sports director when I started. It was me, it was myself, Marcus, and Tommy. But I mean, the only person who I started with who's still there, and of course I don't count Steve, Hensley, and Brandon because they're they are going to be constant. They are staples of WYMT in Eastern Kentucky. But outside of that, I think Paige is the only person who was there.
Was
and
TJ
I started.
there?
Was who?
TJ.
TJ. Okay, yeah, TJ was there.
Josh, Anthony. Everyone, yeah.
But see, like, I think I'm just like, well, yeah, Josh too, and like a lot of the production people, of course, are still there because I mean, honestly, without them, we would not function. Being completely honest, but like, you look in that newsroom and there's no outside of Paige and TJ. There's nobody else. Everybody else has been after I came, which is kind of crazy to think about. Yeah. And there's even people who started after me and left before me. It's just, it in 3 years doesn't seem like a long time, and it won't be a full 3 years. It'll be about 2 years and 10 months. But I don't just think about all the changes that have happened for WYMT, but also for myself in the past like 3 years. It's just, you don't think about it as being a long time, but I mean, man, it really is. I got married. We started our life in Eastern Kentucky. Stuff like that, you don't think about until you're like, man, like there's really a lot of things that happened in the past 3 years.
I remember back 3 or 4 months ago when Nolan asked you about your old school, and that brought back memories for you. And had you thought about maybe not coming back, or did you get to a point that you saw enough that you really wanted to be a coach?
I think, I mean, if I can think about the first time I really thought about it. I mean, even I remember when I was at the NFL draft in Nashville. This is in 2019. And I mean, Tanner, you probably, you've had days like this. I went to bed at 1:30, woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning to drive to Nashville to cover the NFL draft. Covered it the entire day. Couldn't take a nap in between because I had to knock out stuff. I had live shots in the 4, 5, 36, and 11. We're not in the 11, but had all that stuff. And I think I got back to the hotel. I was like, I love the sports, but the technical side of it and stuff like that. And by all means, I love putting together a good package, a nice, good feature package that'll get people in tears and things like that, or get people to really feel. But I think that was the point where I was like, man, like, I don't know, I think I love the sports, and I think that's the one thing that stayed with me throughout the past 3 years. And I reached out and I asked coach at my alma mater if he just to think about me for it back in last April, honestly about a year ago. Just kind of when I started thinking about it and looking at things like that, and we had more conversations, and I think I became a little bit more serious about it. And just, I think the biggest thing for me was just seeing the job that all the coaches down here did, what they meant. We heard Kelly Wells speak tonight. Kelly Wells has won a lot, and Kelly Wells has also impacted a lot of lives. And I think for me, that was the thing that I loved the most. Was it's so difficult. You're not in the locker room. You're not a part of. That you're covering it, you are capturing those moments, and that is, I feel like that is especially important, because it's important for people to have something to look back on. But when I thought about it, I was like, man, like I really want to be in the locker room. I want to be caring about those kids. I want to be making an impact in that way. The same way my senior year in college, we did so much with El Salvador. We did. All these different things, and I was like, man, that's what I miss about it. It's just being a lot, and I hope I'm gonna have half the impact that I've seen some of the coaches. I really do.
Well, Tanner, we'll go to you, then we'll go to Camille, then I'll let Willie say his final word.
Well, I will keep it very brief because I'm sure people would rather hear from Camille and especially Willie tonight than me. But we'll keep the focus on Willie. Good luck in the future, man, and I wish we could have gotten to spend some more time together, but the times I was able to be a kind of an honorary quasi-member of the WYMT sports team again this past season, that really meant a lot to me, calling football and basketball. And glad you really took to the people and the culture of Eastern Kentucky, and I think they certainly loved having you here as well. And I'll remember my last night at WYMT, my last newscast, I said something, and I think you'll find it to be true as well. I said, I may be leaving Eastern Kentucky, but I know it will never leave me. And I think you'll find, at least I hope you'll find, that Eastern Kentucky, a small part of it, will never leave you as well. So good luck this week, and good luck in your next career, and don't be a stranger.
Mr. Camille?
Well, I don't know where Willie went.
He's a buffering right now.
DJ,
He's either buffering or he had need to go get another tissue.
He's the worst, I swear.
He'll return.
Yeah,
he'll return. But by the way, I do apologize. Last week she was trying to film a lot of baseball and softball, and I was trying to help her. Tell her games. I was trying to help her out. Tell her where games were at. Well, she got there, but it was too late. So, and
then I asked you if Owsley played at the high school.
No, Owsley
and you didn't tell me that it wasn't at Owsley, that it was at Leslie.
It was at Leslie, but that was my fault.
That was all your fault. That was all your. No, I'm kidding. It was obviously my fault
because I was trying. I'll continue to keep helping you. I'll get you the right place. Okay, Willie's back now.
Okay.
Oh, give me my computer messed up real quick here. Let me get back on my computer real quick.
Difficult.
Remember that happened to me. Willie took over the show one time.
I remember that we couldn't hear you at all.
Yeah, Les Dixon and him just took over. Finally, I was able to come back, but they did a great job for the time I was not on be able to hear.
I forgot about that.
I know you didn't get to. I don't know if you guys sent anybody down to the All A this weekend. I know Knox County was pretty surprised, played pretty good.
Yeah, they did okay. The boys team was in a close one today and then gave up 12 straight runs and got mercy ruled in 5 innings. But the girls softball team went 1-2. Willie's back.
Okay, Camille.
Oh gosh, I probably won't say too much just because I'll save it for Friday and I don't want to cry. But you've been the best boss and friend I could ask for, and I'm really gonna miss you. So it's gonna be really weird not having you right by my side and making fun of me 24/7. But I'll just glide over. That is so true.
Okay, but it is a give and take. We both make fun of each other.
That's true. In the 2 years that me and Willie have worked together, I was telling him tonight, we've never once gotten a fight. Never once. Because I think he just understands that if I want to do something, he just got to let me do it. So
and sometimes I tell her I don't care what her feelings are on the subject, that she's going to have to do it. And then she gives me and then she goes and does it. So
when he makes me wake up at 6 a.m., I'm like, I really don't want to do that. He's like, it's not about you. I'm like, okay, fine, you're right. Like,
I know. No, man. I appreciate. Obviously, I've worked with you. I've worked with Marcus and Tommy. I don't know. I couldn't ask for better. Like I was saying, I couldn't ask for better people to work with, and not just the sports department. The tireless effort that I see everybody in that building put in, from sales to news to production to the people who direct. Obviously, Anthony Sizemore does more than anybody will ever know in that station. And I want to give him a shout out because he makes our lives, and Camille can attest to this, he makes our lives so much easier.
1,000%.
But just everybody who has sent a push, who has ran up and down the hall for us, putting video
posted a commit when we were on the road.
51 seconds on a Friday night, or everybody who has done that stuff, who sat back in the sports office and done stuff, or sat back in the edit bay. I can't thank them enough. I really can't. I was not good. I was very bad coming out of college. And WYMT, Neil Middleton gave me a shot. He did, and I will be forever grateful for that. I got an opportunity to do something that a lot of people dream of doing: cover SEC tournaments, NCAA tournaments, historic bowl games for Kentucky football, state championship games. It's just stuff that people dream of covering, dreaming of walking on the NCAA tournament floor and things like that. And of course, when I played, I never got a chance to even land one, but just to cover one, the most storied program in college basketball history, just things like that. And the people who welcome me, and I think more than any of that stuff, the people who welcome me into their homes at 5:30, 6, and 11, sometimes at 4, if it was big enough, but allowed me to come out to their games. The coaches who fed me when I really needed a free meal, bad. Just things like that. I don't know. I'm going to stop because I'm going to tear up, but yeah, no, I can't thank this place enough.
Well, first of all, I want to say that it's been a phenomenal 3 years. Mountain sports would not have been the same. You got to live through the good and the bad, but you survived. And now you're going to return to do something that you love to do. All that I ask is that you stay in touch with me. Please come back someday. I would love to have you come on here as a coach, and I would love to talk about your team. And I would love for you to be back, because anytime you are welcome here. And if you get a new phone number or anything, you let me have it. I want to keep up with you as much as I possibly can.
CD, I'll send you my personal cell so you can. I want to co-host, man. I want to be in the.
Do you want to? I will hook you up. I promise.
I'm being replaced.
No.
He beat me in the race. My pride is already wounded. Now you're giving away my co-host.
Oh my gosh.
I can't beat this guy.
Willie, I will hook you up on that. That is, I didn't really ask you during while you worked there, because when Tommy decided he wanted to move on, when the 2 times I've had him on here, it's been phenomenal. And I would love to have you on here. I would love to have Camille, but I don't want to. She's going to be so busy because, when she's going to be doing football and basketball, it's going to pick up for her. So, and I'll help her as much as I possibly can. As long as I get her to the right.
Tell me where baseball games are next time, please. Send me to the right location.
Yeah, I'll do better. I will do better.
Come on, TJ.
Yes, I will do better. Okay, I will. But Willie, I just want to say congratulations. I will miss you. I will send that. I will try to send that video package to you. I'll try to get that to you. I just wanted to make that for you, just to give you something to take with you, so you could hear it. I might have been a little corny, but I thought it was something that I was proud to put together.
It was perfect, CJ.
Yeah. I appreciate y'all, man. I appreciate you all. I love everybody in the mountains, bottom of my heart.
Well, we're going to miss you, and you stay in touch, and we'll talk to you very soon.
Absolutely. I will see you all later.
All right. See you, Willie. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, so first of all, let me go ahead and get a few side notes out of it, because I want to thank everybody that watched and called the show tonight, left comments. Awesome. I want to thank Olivia Farmer, John McIntyre, Freddie Bagger, Camille, and Willie for all being here. This has been one of the best shows I've ever had, but it wouldn't have been no more funner if I couldn't end the year, my first season, with one of my favorite people and one of my favorite friends, Tanner Hesterberg. Tanner, I'm gonna go ahead and let you give your final comments, because I got a lot of thank yous I need to give out for season 1.
Well, I'll keep it brief since we're in overtime here, and I just want to say thanks for having me on. It's the quickest 2 hours in sports media. It's funny. I used to say that when I hosted when I hosted Sports 101 on WSGS. that was my little joke I told, but I really meant it. Like I would sit down to host the show and then I would look at my watch and it was time to sign off. 2 hours had gone by. And when you're really having fun and you're really in the moment and with people you care about and talking about things that you care about, it goes by fast. And that's the way life is. And I feel the same way every time I get to host with you. I wish I got to do it more often. But that leads into my other point I want to make, which is that, you've alluded to it. I this past 6 months, really the past 3 years have been pretty stressful on me, changing careers and going to law school. And now the light is at the end of the tunnel. I'm graduating in a couple weeks. I got the bar exam. And with all of that and still working full time and still doing ball games, to get to take 2 hours every now and then to do this show and forget about all of that stuff, except when you would bring it up and ask me, to get to which is fine. To be able to forget about all of that stuff for a couple of hours and talk about fun topics and topics I enjoy, like Eastern Kentucky high school sports, made me feel like I was at home again. And to have that to look forward to and to be able, it was almost like a respite for me from all of that. And so that has meant a lot to me. And I thank you. And I was honored that you asked me to be the one to help you bring the curtain down on your first season.
Yeah, first of all, I want to say thank you to my wife. Without her being behind me, helping me along, letting me be a part of this, to do this, and I think we've done it. I think I've done a great thing. I just love her, and I want to thank her very much. Also, Tanner, you're my go-to person. If I need you, you're there. And I appreciate that so very much. As we come to the end of season 1 of the CJ Howard Show, it has been a well-rolled year. And a sports season we've had to adapt to a lot of changes because of COVID-19. We did it. We made it through it so far. Still got a little bit to go with baseball and some other stuff. But the first thing I would like to thank is God for his blessings on my life. I also I'm honored to say thank you for all the supporters that have been a part of this show. I want to say a very special thank you to all my co-hosts, every co-host I've had, every Facebook watcher, every radio watcher, everybody that's watching on YouTube, everybody that's subscribed on my YouTube channel. Also, every caller and everybody that's come away of picking up the CJ Harris Show. I want to thank all my viewers, and I want to thank everybody that's been a part of the show. You guys, the comments, the kind comments, unbelievable. Keep them coming. You have any suggestions that you want me to do for season 2? You can message me personally. Let me know. We'll talk about it. I do anything to make the show better. Season 2 is going to be a lot more fun. We're going to have a lot more guests. We're going to do a lot more. Hopefully, we'll have some sponsors. We'll do some good fun things, some new logos. So, looking forward to that. But I will be back on August the 8th at 8 o'clock at the Sunday night. That'll be 2 weeks before the opener of the high school football season. With the season premiere of the CJ Howard Show. That will be on August 8th, Sunday night. So I'll be back then. Till then, you can have plenty of opportunities to watch my replays on Facebook or YouTube. Tanner, anything else you want to say, then we'll get out of here.
Nope. You take the last word, buddy. You've earned it.
All right. For Tanner, I want to say wish him good luck on the bar and his graduation in the upcoming weeks. He deserves it. He deserves to be rewarded with that. As I always end every show, and I've done it from show 1 to season or show 33, the great Joe Knoxall's famous words of CJ Howard running third and heading for home. Good night, everybody. God bless you, and I will see you on August the 8th with the season premiere of season 2 of the CJ Howard Show.